Hello, hello, hello. All right, can we zoom in more on the dog? Yes. There we go. She's very, you guys can't really see my dog that much, but she's currently, and try to move the camera and get it a little bit closer. Now I gotta readjust it now. Oh, that looks like better already. Sweet, there we go. I don't know why it looks uneven. Like it looks like it's skewed a little bit. I must have messed it up somehow when I moved it. I don't know what I did. Oh, well, whatever. It's going to be at a Dutch angle. Hi, everyone. It has been a while since we have streamed. Can you hear me okay? Everything looks good. So glad you all could make it and be here with me on this Friday. I almost said Thursday. It has been both a very long and a very short week simultaneously, and whew, I got so much to talk about, so much to go over. Camera looking tilted, but doggo there, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I genuinely am not even sure why it would be. Not even. I don't know why it's like it doesn't look like it's not level. Is it like the camera itself? Is it the gimbal maybe? Oh, it's already like hot. Okay. I think it's the gimbal that it's on is like a little bit overheated. I don't know if that literally did anything, but that's fine. Okay, so doggo is there. It is today the first day of like actual proper spring weather I think we've had. It's sunny outside today. We've got rain in the forecast, I think, for every other day after this for the foreseeable future, but nice sunny day. Got some gardening done. How is everyone doing? What has been going on? I know I didn't get to stream last week, but it's for a good reason, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about kink conventions and BDSM events and traveling while kinky and all of that good stuff, and just kind of go over it more or less and give you all some tips and tricks and answer questions. And I also have a question for all of you about some events I'm thinking of potentially going to, because I don't know anyone who's been to these events and I'm curious about trying them, and I don't know if anyone here would have gone to them or tried them before besides me, because they're all pretty much on the East Coast and that's not typically what I do. You getting tickets to Motionless and White this fall? I don't like keep up to date with their tour dates. I feel like whenever I look, they're in Europe. But I would love to go. I saw them in concert a couple years ago at a sort of a smaller venue in Seattle. It was awesome. I would 100% go again. The last time I saw them live, Ghost was still in the band, and they are no longer there. So I have not seen the band with the most recent consortium of band members, but I would love to go again. We got snow today. It was pretty nice, to be honest. Yeah, it was so weird. Yesterday, I don't even know if you could really call it snow. It wasn't frost. It was like kind of icy half snow. Was definitely on the ground, on the rooftops. It wasn't on the pavement or anything. It was just in the grass and on the roofs, and it melted off by afternoon, of course. But it has been a slow start, just like last year. Tomorrow is Fuchsia Saturday at Fred Meyer stores. If you're a gardener, don't miss. Okay, what is Fuchsia Saturday? I am a gardener, so tell me more about this Fuchsia Saturday business. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Jay. I saw them at Warped Tour in 2014 and in concert in 2022. They were dope both times. Yeah. I had a good time at their show. Good energy. I never got to go to Warped Tour. Didn't really go to concerts until I was in college, so didn't really, like, I'm not even really now a big concert goer. Like, I wouldn't go to, like those big, like, festival tours, like Lollapalooza, or even Warped, or, what's the big one there, Coachella? Like, none of those really appeal to me as a format. Like, if I'm going to spend multiple days doing something, it's not going to be sitting in a field listening to live music. Like, it's just, like, I like it, but I don't like it enough for that to be my whole day. Oh, there we go. There's the super chat. All right, before we get into it too far, let's go ahead and just rewind for a second in the chat. So if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. We do these live streams every Friday at 6, unless I have some sort of unavoidable reason for missing the event, which this past Friday, I missed the live stream because I was volunteering at a community event. So I was not around at all to be able to live stream, but typically we stream every Friday at 6 o'clock. This is an 18 plus only live stream, like it says right down there. So please do not be here unless you are at least 18. Any age above that, totally fine. Please read the rules and FAQ down below if you want to be familiar with the rules for the space. I have tons of resources to common questions. This is an interactive Q&A. You guys ask questions, we answer them, we talk about them. We have community feedback and involvement from the other members of our chat as well, which is really great to sort of get a little sampler of different potential answers. And it's just a fun time. We just basically try to have fun, be supportive, and that's basically it. Just like the really big highlight just to know is, like, please do not spam the chat with questions. I do monitor the chat, both the current chat and I scroll slowly through the chat to catch questions. So if you ask it like 5 times in a row, I'm not going to answer it because I'm going to get annoyed. So just ask it once, and then if I don't get to it in like an hour or at the end of the stream, feel free to ask it again. I can't promise I'm going to get to everything, but I do try to cover at least the questions I know are not covered in existing topics. Questions can be about whatever you want. It could be what is in the title. It could be video topics, it could be things that aren't in my videos, it could be personal questions, personal issues, like if you're like, hey, I have this relationship and we have this going on, what should I do? Or my partner told me they want to be a dominatrix, so what about that? Like, whatever it is, feel free to ask. It can also be non-kink related, like we started talking about gardening and Warped Tour. So, you know, we really are a collection of people that have diverse interests, and kink is one of them. And we happen to talk about that most of the time, but, you know, sometimes we also end up talking about, I don't know, Joe Rogan and the early internet and Neopets, and, like, who knows? Like, it goes all over the place, really. But yeah, that's basically what you need to know about the stream, and just chill, get some water, hang out, have a fun time, and we'll get into it. Would you ever go to any conventions on the East Coast? Yes. Atlanta, isn't that FroliCon? That's, like, really soon, though. Like, that's way too last. Like, if I want to go to FroliCon this year, like, that's not going to happen schedule-wise for me. But I would definitely go. So, I guess to just start out our conversation for today, I'll just lead with this, I suppose, is I am thinking of going to some other conventions in the United States. I typically go to Leather Rain, which is a big leather conference that is up in Seattle. I've gone a couple years, I don't know how many times, 4, maybe 5 times I've gone, and I like it. It's a much smaller environment. I feel like I've kind of taken away what I can take away from that experience. Like, it's not a vacation for me, it is local. So, like, it is easy to get to and from. Like, it's very easy to go there. It's harder now that I'm not, like, I'm in Oregon now, and so it's harder for me to get up to Seattle, and I do have to pay for a hotel room, so it is more expensive. But usually I'd go to that, and then I go to Kink Fest, which was this past weekend. It's always Easter weekend, and I really like Kink Fest. I will keep going to that. However, there are tons of other convention options across the country. I definitely want to check out Dark Odyssey Surrender again, which is in one of the San Jose. or San Diego. I think it's San Jose. So it's in San Jose, and I would really want to check that out. I've gone there 1 year before, a long time ago, pre-COVID. I want to go again. I remember liking it when I went, but there's so many other conventions that we ended up never really going back to that. So I want to go to that. That's in October now. I used to not go to it, I think mostly because it would overlap with Leather Rain, and so the local convention that I could literally just drive to was a lot better. Except for now, Kink Fest is the convention I can just drive to, not have to pay for a hotel. Like, it's a lot less intensive to go to Kink Fest now that I live in the area. I don't have to travel for it. So I'm trying to find something else I can do that's a nice sort of every 6 months or so I can have like a big event to look forward to. And I've been looking at the Dark Odyssey events. I mentioned Surrender, which is in San Jose, but most of their events are on the East Coast, and they have Dark Odyssey Fusion and Dark Odyssey Summer Camp. I cannot figure out the difference between Fusion and Summer Camp, because as far as I can tell, they're both on a giant campground in Maryland, and there's classes, there's events, there's a pool, there's car camping, RV camping, cabins, and the websites basically seem the same, so I'm not really sure what the difference is between the two of them. But one of them is June, I want to say it's 4th of July weekend. It may actually, no, it may be the week before that. It may be like June 26th to 30th. And then the other one is at the very end of August going into September on Labor Day weekend. It's like August 29th to September 4th, I think, is what summer camp is. And then Fusion is the one that's earlier in the summer and June-ish. There's also Tess Fest, which is in the New York area. It's in Piscataway. I learned is how it's pronounced. Piscataway, New Jersey. And that is also 4th of July weekend. And I looked at the numbers for that, and the more I thought about it, I don't really think that unless I'm teaching at Test Fest, like it's really viable. It's a very expensive weekend to travel. It's also when a lot of my family members have birthdays, and so like it's like hard to go to the opposite coast because I live obviously on the West Coast. And from what I could tell, Test Fest is fairly expensive. It's like $600 to $800. You have to, just for the rooms at the hotel, which if you want to stay at a hotel, if you're not local and you're staying there, which would be my preference, that's pretty expensive. Economy ticket just for one person is like $800, and then the ticket on top of that just for getting into the event is like another $200. And then I got to pay somebody to watch my dog, and like it's a whole thing. So, and then I also have my garden to take care of, and that time of year, June, July, that's going to be peak season for taking care of the roses and the berries, and like I have to also have somebody take care of the lawn, and so it would end up being a lot of work, and it ended up being quite expensive to go to Test Fest, and it's the most expensive and the most time consuming. So I don't think that Test Fest is really in the cards, but I would be interested in, oh no, she did leave the lair. You're right. She left the boundaries of her lair. She actually likes laying in that far corner and like having her chin up against the corner. That's like her ideal location in the room. I'm gonna have floof. I also have it as zoomed in as I possibly can, so she's very floofy. She loves, oh, okay, so a segue for a second, talking about the cat. So 2 weeks ago, last live stream we did, one of my roommates got a cat, and we were trying to name the cat, and we have settled on the name Naja, like as in Naja from, I almost said Stranger Things. Is there a character called that in Stranger Things? No, it's What We Do in the Shadows. And we love that TV show, watch it a bunch. I love it. It's, if you guys like comedy and vampires, it's a great show. And so we've named her that. She's a very sweet cat, and I am definitely allergic to her. She's very sweet in the rare moments that I've seen her, and my dog is obsessed with this cat. She loves this cat. I'm pretty sure she thinks this cat is her baby. So like she gets upset, like if one of the roommates picks up the cat, she starts whining and gets sad. Like, she's like, oh no, you're touching my baby, don't touch my baby. Like, she will follow the cat around. Like, the cat will be here and she'll be like 2 feet away staring, like watching the cat, and then when the cat moves, she moves, and like if the cat's under the bed, she's under the bed. Like, she always wants to be next to the cat. It's very sweet. It's definitely not in, and I want to make sure to be clear about this, it's definitely not in an aggressive prey way. It's very much in a I'm fascinated, I must love you and take care of you kind of a way, because it's not the way that she acts around squirrels or rodents or anything. She loves this animal more than I think she loves me. She's obsessed with the cat. So, but right now the cat is locked in the room with the litter box, and so the cat is not available to come say hello, but the name has been settled on, and we appreciate all of the contributions because we had quite the list. We really, really did. Do you know where I can find listings of these conferences / festivals and get information about them? So there used to be, and let me just double check here. There used to be a website that was called the Black Pomegranate, and they kept, I don't even think I can even, like, if I Google this, I don't even think it shows up anymore. Yes, there used to be a website that was called the Black Pomegranate, and they did a really good job of keeping track of all of the different BDSM conventions out there. And unfortunately, they stopped maintaining their website and they stepped away from what they were doing with it. So it's not available anymore. So because we don't have that, the next best thing we have is FetLife events. And there's probably a group on FetLife that's like BDSM conventions and advertisements for conventions. I've just been around for long enough to where I know what the bigger conventions are just from word of mouth and advertising. Like, usually conventions will advertise their convention at other conventions in the swag bag or something that you get, or in little cards or something that gets left out in the hospitality suite. So that's how I find out about most conventions. But looking on FetLife for events is going to be your best bet. And if you're on my Patreon and you follow me on FetLife and you're my friend on FetLife, then I basically RSVP to all of the big events because I want people to know about them. I RSVP to local things sometimes too, but mostly RSVP to like the bigger events, the big conventions that I think people might not know about that could be interesting. And that's the best way to keep up to date with that, basically. So FetLife is a good resource for the bigger events, and then usually they have their own website. On FetLife, they will have smaller little blurbs about what the convention is, but the website's usually the best place. I will say this, they're not usually the best designed websites, and this has been my issue with, and why I'm asking about this is I think Test Fest is probably out of my budget for this year, but looking at flights and travel stuff for going to the Dark Odyssey summer camp that is at the end of August and beginning of September, like the tickets to get there are half as cheap. There's a direct 5-hour flight between PDX and the main Baltimore airport, so it's really easy to get there. And I don't know exactly what all the cost for everything is at the event, but I do think it is more doable, and it's also like much later on in the summer, like end of August. Like, blueberries will still be around. Most of my big yard stuff will be taken care of in terms of maintaining the fruit trees and the berries and the other plants. Like, it'll be a lot lower maintenance, so it won't be as much work if I have to have somebody like come in and take care of stuff for me. But I will have to have somebody watch the dog still regardless. But I think it's going to be a lot easier to coordinate that, and it seems to be less cost intensive compared to Test Fest and 4th of July weekend oriented stuff. So I tried so hard to find photos of the event site for Dark Odyssey Summer Camp or Fusion, and I don't know why they do this, and I think it's because they have photos from the event itself, from like of the attendees, because they will have official photographers there taking pictures, taking photos, and then you get tagged in them and stuff, I think, afterwards. So they don't really have any formal, like, what you might call a press packet sort of collection of photos of the event space. There's a couple of them on their FetLife account for the Dark Odyssey Surrender space, which is in fully a hotel. It's not a camping thing at all. And there's a couple on one of their FetLife pages for that. But almost all their other photos are like of people doing things. And so you don't really, like, it's like 90% of the whole photo frame is a person's body. And so you don't really get a sense of what the space looks like or the accommodations or the size of the event itself. Like Kink Fest, and they don't have this currently up, but they used to have like a splash page where you could see like a zoomed out, like kind of almost like a drone photo of the dungeon space. You get a sense of for how big it was. And like, it's in the Portland Expo Center. So like, it's super easy to find photos of the Expo Center and know what it looks like and how big it is. Like, you can find it very easily. Whereas I don't even know what campsite this Dark Odyssey event is at. And so I definitely want to learn more about it. But anyways, I bring all this up to say, I would love it if anyone has been to Dark Odyssey Summer Camp or Dark Odyssey Fusion. If you know anything about it, if you know people who know about it, if you can give me a sense of what the space is like or tell me where I can find photos, I would very much appreciate it, because I'm trying to decide between that or possibly going to San Francisco for Folsom Street Fair at the very end of September, because anywhere on the West Coast is super easy. Like, basically, if I want to go anywhere in California, I can get it's an hour and 40-minute flight between Portland and the San Francisco airport. I think LA is like a little bit longer. Let me just check. PDX to LAX. I love Alaska Airlines. Not that anyone asked, but I'm a big loyal Alaska Airlines person, because they're always cheaper than Delta for some reason, and they don't fuck you over with not even allowing a carry-on the way that some other airlines do. Yeah, let's see, if I'm looking at September, like if I go like now, it's like not even $100 actually. It's like I can literally fly to LAX for $100, which is like crazy compared to like $800 to fly to Maryland or New Jersey. Like, I don't mean to be shading on New Jersey there, but I am shading on New Jersey a little bit, because how could that many people want to go to New Jersey? All right, if I'm looking at September. Okay, yeah, like it's like 170 around Labor Day weekend. It goes up to like 200 something. But like anywhere I want to go, and even it's like it's like a little bit over a 2-hour flight. So to get to San Francisco, it's about an hour and 40 minutes, and San Jose is about the same. And then going to LAX is about 2 hours. So like anything on the West Coast is super easy to get to in terms of a flight. There's tons of trip options. Alaska does a lot of flights between Portland and Seattle and all the places in California I just mentioned. East Coast gets trickier. So yeah, I don't think I go to DomCon LA, just because my sense of it is it's more a professional networking event for people in the industry, like dominatrixes, not necessarily lifestyle kinksters. I could see the benefit of an event like that. I could see where people would enjoy it, but I wouldn't fly to LA just to do that. But with Folsom Street Fair, which if you don't know what that is, it's a very fun street fair. It's been around a long time in that area, and there are lots of kink events around it. But what I learned from the last time that I went is, yes, it's super fun to walk around all of the vendors in the shops, and like I like going to the street fair, but if you want to do anything else kinky in San Francisco in like the 4 days before or after, it is packed to the gills with people. It is very difficult to find space to do anything. There's a ton of options for parties, but all of them, from my memory of them at least, like it was super busy. And I've been to San Francisco enough times now to where like I don't really want to go and necessarily do a lot of touristy stuff. Like I'd make a day of it if I could, but it seems a little bit wasteful to just go there for the fair itself and then leave again. I could get a small carry-on, pack an outfit to wear for Folsom. I could fly in. I think it's like September 24th. Okay, don't stop showing me different weeks. I want to see different months. Okay. Thank you, Google. Like, okay, so it's September 24th. I could theoretically fly in, like, sometime on Saturday afternoon, probably, have maybe time to do something in the evening, do the fair Sunday afternoon, and then fly out Sunday evening. I have done that before, I think. Because that was when I still, like, worked a full-time job in addition to YouTube, and, like, YouTube was just a casual hobby for me. And so, like, I didn't have any vacation time left, I don't think, and so I had to do it where it was, like a really, it was a very interesting weekend to do all that. Like, it's theoretically possible for me to do that, and I just have one night at a hotel, and I don't really know how else I'd coordinate that. Like, that's doable. Like, that's a thing I could do. I like going to Folsom. It would be nice if I could coordinate doing something with the Watts of Safe Word folks again. I love Pup Amp, love Christopher. They're hilarious, amazing, wonderful people. And I'd maybe go for longer if I could connect with them doing something. Anyways, y'all are just getting to know what my schedule's like a little bit, because why not? The thing is like, I want to go and be able to do kink things. And so Folsom is very much go out to the event and enjoy the event, but going to parties in and around there is just, it's either way too many people and you can't play it all, or like, because it's not a convention where typically there's more like speed dating, play finder threads beforehand on Discord chats or on FetLife or somewhere, like, it's a lot harder to, like, you can't really do pickup play like as easily, I think, with Folsom. But I don't know, thinking about it, I don't know, I could do, I mean, I could just look, we could just see 2 hours and change from likes. Yeah, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think if I just had a small carry-on, I could make this very manageable. I would love to go to Folsom Street Fair, but I worry about my family or boss finding out. My vanilla family and I are very close, and for my boss, I have to take out PTO. Yeah, that's true. Well, the problem is, and this is like, if you do want to stay more private, I will say this. Every single other event except for Folsom, they are very strict about cameras. Like, when I was at Kink Fest, like, they have you put tape over your camera. You are not allowed to have your phone out. I did see a number of people take their phone out anyways, and when I was in volunteering mode, I would stop and remind them and be like, hey, you got to put your phone away. Like, I think some people were confused and thought, oh, if I have tape on my phone, I can have my phone out, which is not what that means. Like, the tape is an additional precaution, but the real rule is no phones. Anywhere in the dungeon, vendor hall, classes, doesn't matter. Not allowed to have the phone out unless you have an accessibility issue or an exception. One of those two. If you have some kind of reason to need your phone for, I don't know, voice to text maybe, or note taking, or some other kind of accessibility thing, you could have your phone out, but that had to be cleared in advance, obviously. But typically they take their privacy very seriously, both in terms of their back end, in terms of registration and privacy for that, and also on the front end of things, actually at the event, in terms of everyone having their ID checked, no phones. If there's an event photographer, typically the way that they will arrange things is there's an armband color system or a wristband color system, where if you have a certain color wristband on, that means yes for photos, and another color means no for photos. However, Folsom, and this is why I'm a little bit more reluctant to go, having gone, this would be my third time going, I think, if I went another time. Actually, I could probably see if I could meet up with Kat Black there too, because I've seen Kat at Folsom before, but that's a different thing. At Folsom, it is a free-for-all. It's a public event because it is a public parade that is done in conjunction and with the approval of the San Francisco city government. And so because it is technically public property, they're not really able to restrict who can enter it. Like, it's not a kinky people only thing. Like, technically, though they very highly discourage it, and it's not usual, technically you can bring children into it because it is a public place, though you shouldn't. I personally have never seen children at Folsom. I have seen people who have said that there is children at Folsom before, but I haven't. Oh, thank you, Andrew. Happy got to meet you at Kink Fest. That was one of my goals on the trip, and I saw you at the door. It's almost fest. Yeah, I remember. It was so good to see you. I got to meet so many people who watch my channel or watch it in the past at Kink Fest. It was really great. I had like one sort of embarrassing moment during a class where we were doing like a group circle thing, and like everyone in the circle was like, "Oh, Evie." I really should make business cards, honestly, so people who meet me who don't know who I am and want to check out what I do, like, have a way to do that easily with like I don't know, can I make my own QR code where you scan it and it goes to my YouTube channel? Is that a thing? Can you just make your own QR? Who is in charge of making QR codes? I'm gonna write that down because I actually wanted, that could be a good idea for a business card actually, because I don't have one because I'm like, would it really do anything? But if there was like an easy way to get to my channel, maybe people would use it. All right, who can make QR codes? QR code for YouTube, question mark? All right. Yeah, children at Folsom. It's very much a not allowed thing. Like, it's, okay, I shouldn't say that. It's very against the social norms for that space. It is not typical that people will bring kids, but because it is public property, people are technically allowed to, and I gotta be honest, I feel like with how much drag shows are being disrupted and how much Fox News and libs of TikTok and the rest are very outwardly anti, like, adults being degenerate in public, adults dressing too sexy, like anything like that being offensive, that like I am actually worried that at Folsom, not to put this idea out into the universe, but I think, like, I almost wonder, I'm like, okay, I'm actually surprised that we haven't had protests and things around BDSM conventions because, like, isn't it just a really big group of hedonistic adults that are very largely queer, doing queer sexy things, and don't they hate that? Like, maybe they just don't realize that there is a thing happening to protest against. I think that's really what's stopping it. But Folsom is very well known. It's very public. There are even usually, because it coincides with the sort of rough time of year as the Kink at Pride debate normally happens. I always got to do the rainbow when I talk about Kink at Pride. The Kink at Pride debate that happens every year, usually somebody will share a random photo from, I think it's actually Montreal Fetish Weekend. It's not actually from Folsom. People say it's Folsom, even though it's not, because people, like, it's not a parade route. Like, you don't typically have a bunch of people standing in line waving flags. Like, people are usually walking up and down the aisles, and like it's more movement and walking, but you will see a lot of vanilla people at Folsom. It's a lot of vanilla people, lots of people with cameras. Some people will ask you for permission before they take your photo, but not always. And so you have to be very careful about who's taking your photo, who's seeing you there. And people do not always ask for consent before they take photos. It's a lot of vanilla people that, I don't know if they're voyeurs, if they want something for a private collection, if they want to go look at the freak show, if they're somebody that's more conservative minded. Usually there is a small protest group that will be at Folsom, but last time I went, it was like literally 4 people out of the thousands that probably go through the doors of Folsom over the course of the event. But I am worrying that it's going to be bigger because there's not any way for them to stop anyone from coming in or pictures being taken or anything like that. Like, is Steven Crowder going to show up? Is Ben Shapiro going to show up? Or, like, is Steven Crowder going to show up and have a booth that fucking says, like, Kink is degenerate, changing my mind? Like, somebody's going to do it. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen this year or next year. I just feel like in my bones that something like that is going to happen. And what is very interesting is that this is completely unreleased at this point. Oh, we have a super chat here from Twixie. Folsom may be safe solely due to right wingers not daring to step foot. True, because SF is a dirty, vile sanctuary city filled with needles and fentanyl and drag queens. They're like, I feel like it's the same reason you don't really see them in Seattle too much, which is like the reputation on Fox News is essentially the city being permanently on fire and being ran by homeless people. And so you know, a lot of people are just too scared to even go into the city. So good point. It could be they're even too scared to show up. But I am worried because it's the same thing as like when people like Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder, not to make this too political, of course, when they get invited to speak on college campuses because they get invited to speak by a Young Republicans Club or whatever, and they get funding from whoever they get funding from to go and do that, and then it leads to like protests. Like I want Folsom to be a fun, enjoyable thing and not a debate thing. And I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen any like IRL streamers go to Folsom either, as far as I'm aware. Which that would be a massive consent violation issue if they did, because there's going to be tons of naked people. There's going to be people with their dicks out. There's going to be all kinds of bits and bobs and the sex and nudity and just everything. And obviously, like, not everyone consents to having their photo taken. Honestly, may just wear a fucking leather mask the entire time I'm there. Like, I may just be like, all right, we're putting on a leather hood. I'm going to be like a falconing bird. To just have that leather mask on the whole time and just deal with it. But I had a really good time when I went. I enjoyed it the previous year that I went. I would definitely go again, but I am worried with the current political climate that it's going to end up being different or going to attract more people, because over the years it has attracted more and more vanillas and more looky-loos and more voyeurs, and that changes the flavor of the event. Like, there are definitely, like, you know, the stereotypical completely naked 50-year-old man with his dick out on the sidewalk hanging out. Like, you're gonna see that for sure. Most people are participants in BDSM, but you will see just like completely naked guy wearing Crocs walking around with his dick out holding a camcorder, and you will definitely see people in their chinos or in their cargo shorts and their plain t-shirt and their I don't know, what's the stereotypical San Franciscan shoe? Because like Seattle, I think of Birkenstocks and like, you know, that's where my mind goes. But do people wear Birkenstocks in San Francisco? I don't know. But like, you know, just very like casual, maybe like tech office sort of a look, or just like casual, like, you know, like dad outfit, right? Like, we got the Adidas sneakers, we got the Nikes, we got the ready to grill look going. And they're ready to grill, and they're ready to stare at naked 22-year-old women in public. And it just is a different flavor, and it makes me feel self-conscious. Maybe for my family, I can just say I'm going to San Francisco. I mean, I think that would be a perfectly fine excuse, because like San Francisco, this is what I tell them. San Francisco has a late summer. It's a great time to visit before the fall weather sets in. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. There's tons to do on the water. There's a really nice waterfront area. There's all kinds of museums, historical architecture, all kinds of shops to go to if you're into shopping as well. There's a lots to go and do in San Francisco if you want to do a touristy thing with it. And if you want to be there for like a day before and a day after Folsom, like, you can definitely find things to do. I personally, in the Bay Area, I really like, and I don't remember the name of the museum, but it's like a natural history museum or like a science museum in San Francisco, and it's really nice. And they've got like, or you can just go see the 49ers or the Giants. I don't know. If you're into sport balls. Well, probably football's not happening at that time. Well, maybe it's end of September. Maybe preseason stuff, maybe? I'm not sure when actual football season starts. It's been a while since I've had a television or people who watch football around me, at least on a consistent basis. Let's see, San Francisco Science Museum? Is it literally just the San Francisco Museum of Science? I'm not local, so I don't know. Oh, the California Academy of Sciences. That is really nice. And there's a really big park outside of it, too. That's also really nice. And if you're into stuff like that, there's like the Osher Rainforest is really cool. There's like a really big butterfly garden. I would go back for that, honestly. Well, I wouldn't go back for that, but I would go back to it. How about that? I would go back because there's like stingrays and dinosaurs, and it's really nice. Fucking better than anything we got out here. That's for sure. Okay, where am I in the chat? I genuinely don't know. You can always take all sorts of random photos around the area to send. I mean, yeah, that's true. Ready to grill, ready to throw. There you go. That's the saying. Yeah, exactly. Like you can like it like Somo and like where the area around where it's held is like definitely a neighborhood. It's definitely like working class neighborhood vibes. So as far as I know, last time I went, gentrification can happen quick. So maybe it's changed, but that's not really a touristy part of SF. But like honestly, there's not from my memory when I looked last time I was booking things is San Francisco, the area that Folsom's at, like it's not a touristy spot, and so there's not really a lot of hotels around there. So you do have to like usually commute in from like with a taxi or I'm not really familiar with public transit in SF, so I'm sure there's an option for that too. But typically, like you have a hotel somewhere else, and then you go in for that. So you can stay in like a more touristy part of SF, and then go to that, and people, you get brunch somewhere, you go on the trolley, you go to some parks, like you can find stuff to do, absolutely. Question: is it mandatory to be naked in these kinds of events slash in a dungeon? I'm very shy and self-conscious. I think I wouldn't have a problem with being in my underwear or bikini, but naked, dot, dot, dot. You do not have to be naked at any point for anything. You will see all manner of dress, and I'm not kidding you, between fursuits and adult onesies, like the full like feety pajamas, like onesies, all the way over to completely naked and everything in between. You will see latex, you will see leather, you will see suits, you will see formal wear, you will see lingerie looks, you will see a guy in boxer shorts and speedos and somebody just wearing a vest and underpants. Like you'll see people. When I was at Folsom, or not Folsom, I was at Kink Fest, I saw people in clown outfits. I saw people dressed up like animal control. I saw people dressed up like, I don't think I saw any cops. I actually don't think I saw any cops. So I'm going to amend what I was about to say. I did not see anyone dress like cops because in Portland, there may be a 4-letter acronym that a lot of us follow. But there's firefighters and the cowboys, ponies, puppies, kittens, all the different pet players, all sorts of different, anything you can imagine. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, wear what makes you feel confident, okay? Because somebody is going to think that it's interesting, entertaining, or if it's a plain Jane look, they're not going to care. If you're already at a kink convention where it's a hotel takeover, if you have the badge on, people are going to be like, okay, you belong here. If you want to take it up a notch and look the look, right? You want to match what other people are wearing. Black's always a good option. Leather pants, leather skirt. If you're a gentleman and you want to bedazzle the crowd and you want to wear your underwear, you can get sparkly underpants. There's actually, if you go to the Kingfest vendor website and actually probably just search on FetLife as well, like they do make fancy underwear for men that is sparkly and strappy and it's got sequins and rainbows and it's all sorts of cool patterns on it if you want to bedazzle yourself that way. Kilt's also a good option. Anything with fishnets a good option. Open knit stuff. More goth alternative clothing is also usually a pretty safe bet. But as long as you've got the badge in a hotel space, like people are not really going to be too judgmental. I saw people there that were dressed in just, even somebody I did a scene with, they were just like, they were basically dressed to do a day hike. Like they were wearing like a neon top, so they were easy to find. They were wearing like some slick like hiking looking pants and like trail shoes or something, which honestly, great look. They were high visibility and also did not destroy their feet walking on the concrete floors, which is a good vibe. So really wear whatever you want. You do not have to be naked, and you will see so many different outfits there. I guarantee you that basically no matter what you wear, it's going to make sense. The stereotype around here for riggers and people that are doing rope and bondage especially is they dress super casually. They're wearing a graphic t-shirt, they're wearing a pair of shorts, and they've maybe got socks and Birkenstocks. They're not really doing anything too fancy with what they look, so don't feel pressured to be dressed, undressed. Just wear what is comfortable for you. Occasionally, there will be an event that's like a clothed female, nude male, femdom thing, but that's like an adjunct to the main event. The main event, you wear whatever you want that feels good for you. Yes, or like people wear full vintage, right? You'll see people in full vintage, vintage reproduction. Steampunk's also fairly popular around these parts. Like, you will see everything. Absolutely. My hair is bad at holding curls, but I try. I know, genuinely, the only thing that I've ever found that puts curls in my hair is the wave wand I use from Bedhead. And if my hair's shorter, like if it, like now it's too long, it gets too weighed down. But if my hair is like kind of collarbone length or like either a little bit below or above collarbone length, I can do like wet set curls, and that works all right. But yeah, no, curls difficult. Anyways, you can wear whatever you want. And then if you're outdoors, if you're at Folsom, I would be more mindful about dressing to the standard. But even if you go to an event, like especially at Folsom or something, and you don't have like appropriate clothing, quote unquote, by which you mean like clothing that fits the vibe of the event space, there will almost always be somebody selling clothing. Like I got this t-shirt at Folsom, or not Folsom, I'm gonna keep mixing up the words now. It's like a bat and like a coffin. I actually thought it was purple. Turns out it's actually a really dark blue, which is like, okay, I don't know anything else's color, so that works for me. But there will always be somebody pretty much every time selling leather stuff or t-shirts or something, and you can get one of those and wear it, and you'll be basically good to go. This is from, I pulled it out. I think they do these based on woodcut prints. They have sort of a woodcut, like a woodcut vibe to them. This is from Dancing Heron, and I like this especially because they specialize in androgynous and non-binary apparel, accessories, and art. And you can go ahead and check them out right there. It's www.dancingheron.com. This is such a comfortable t-shirt. I love it. I'm gonna go look on their website and see if they have more, because it was like $20 for this t-shirt. It was super affordable, and they have jewelry and stuff as well. And we love queer folk supporting queer folk and buying their art. So, you know, if you want something, you can get it from there. I will go full-time goth queen once I have a few ladies in waiting. That's the way to go. I mean, honestly, if you're anyone of any gender, I really feel like a utilikilt, like a either something from Stumptown Kilt or Utilikilt, slapping a kilt on with a graphic t-shirt and a pair of boots, you look the part. You're 100% of the way there at that point. It's not really an issue finding outfits to wear. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. How body positive are these kinds of spaces? I'm self-conscious about my belly, and I also have dermatillomania, so my body is covered in scabs and scars. I always like bringing this up. Genuinely, and I can only speak to my experience. I can't speak to what it's like in an event in Florida or New York. I haven't been there. But Kink Fest and the other events that I go to, on one note, they genuinely try to be inclusive in terms of accessibility for like people with visible and invisible disabilities, and making room to make things accessible for mobility aids and things like that. But also on like the body front, you will see everyone of every type of body. You will see everyone across the age range spectrum from 18 to 70. Like, you will see every type of body at Kink Fest. And when I was walking around the dungeon most recently, it was just so diverse. It was all kinds of people topping, all kinds of people bottoming, all sorts of people in various states of undress. You know, it was you don't have to worry about it. Like, okay, I'm not going to say that. Like, you're always going to run into potentially people, especially if you want to do things related to bondage. Rope bondage people are the most bad at this. They are the most likely to be like, actually, you can't do this because you're not a size 4. It's like, really? That's where we're going with this? But no, seriously, like you will see everyone there doing their thing, having a great time. I totally understand being self-conscious. This is why I really encourage people to go to events, because you will see every body type there. You will see every age range there. Like, it's not just thin, blonde 20-year-olds. It's people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It's people who are size 0. It's people who are 6'5", people that are 5'11", and people that are 4'11", people that are 100 pounds, 250, 300, like again, all across the whole spectrum, you will see everyone playing. And I will say, I will not try to speak to the experience of the ease of finding play partners if you're a larger bodied person. I don't know what that's like, but I do know that there are a lot of people in the kink community that are very more open about liking diverse body sizes. I think in mainstream society, like, you're sort of, if you're a straight person and you're a guy, you're like kind of demasculinized if you say that you like bigger women. Like, it's almost seen as like a slight to you if like a woman is bigger than you are. And I feel like in kink culture, there's a lot more room to be open with, this is the kind of body that I like, and fuck you if you have a problem with it. You know, like, people just aren't as judgmental about it. There are judgmental people, to be clear, but it's not like as open, I guess. And you will definitely see people teaching at the event, volunteering for the events. Again, all different types of people, all body types, able-bodied, non-able-bodied. Like, you will see everything across the whole spectrum. Absolutely. Being in the community has been super comforting for my body dysmorphia and struggles. It makes me so happy to see all the bodies be happy. Yes, exactly. I think, like, the kink community is such a unique space for seeing diverse bodies being in pain, being in pleasure because of the pain. Like, you will see that. And I don't even think that, like, you know, sort of our closest community relatives of swingers and, you know, people that do orgies or something, like, I think that has a lot more body judgment in it, like, to the point where there are events that they won't let you in unless you're hot enough. No one gives a shit about that in BDSM, you know? Because what is hot to people is entirely relative. And there's a lot of people that are into hook house stuff and giantess worship. And I don't even know what else. Like, there's all, like, there's, you know, I'm not just saying that being fetishized is the same thing as being accepted, because it's not. But, like, the fact that people can even be open about, like, hey, I find this kind of thing attractive, is not what most people expect. And it's certainly not what most people get from everyday life, unfortunately. Wait, okay. Let me actually, I have not been keeping up with the chat. Oh, why are those two blank? Okay, I might miss some chat stuff, but I want to see what's going on. It looks like, why is that blank? Okay, that was weird. Did it just let you type something without saying anything? Okay, that's super weird. I don't know what that's about. In my experience, the kink community is very open to different body types. I have seen very big women play with men who could be movie stars. It's pretty wide open, and finding play is about charm. That's true. It's all about your fucking riz. Like, it's like, everyone in the kink community is like Jack Black. Like, you maybe aren't conventionally attractive in a movie star way, but you open your mouth and you got the skill set behind it, and whew, that's all you need. Craig says, I'm going to a private play party tomorrow. Congratulations. I've never gone to any party without a slave before. Even though I know most of the people at the party, I am nervous being a single male. Okay, so Craig, I will look for your response here for a second. So it sounds like, okay, it's a private play party, so it's not public. It sounds like you're a dom or a top. And this is the first time you've gone without a partner, right? Or are you going as a bottom by yourself? Yeah, exactly. Like, if anyone's super unkind about appearance, they could be booted from the event. Like, events are very, at least the ones I've been to, like, they have a very strict, like, no bullying, don't be a piece of shit policy. I'm just waiting for a second to see if Craig can answer my question before I make an assumption and then give the wrong answer. I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is, but I just want to make double sure because I don't want to waste anybody's super chat time. Your top? Okay, thank you, Craig. So I think this is so interesting because I think people usually assume that the people who are nervous at parties is like single submissive women because, oh my God, I don't want to be treated like I'm at a meat market and I'm just going to get too much attention. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I think as a top, you are in a better position, like safety wise, going by yourself than like a newer, younger submissive who's going solo would be. So like, that's definitely a positive, but it's good that you know most of the people at the event. I suppose probably what you're asking is like, I'm nervous about going there being single. Like, what do I do? And I'm not sure what kind of play party it is. If it's like a play party, if it's a high protocol dinner, is it like impact, bondage? Like, what do the people in this space normally do? Have you been to this play space before with somebody? I guess my advice would be if I was going to an event as a single top and I knew some of the people there, but not everyone, I would focus probably on more making it a social event. I would dress up. I would dress nicely if that's what that space is for. Some people go to private play parties and because they're private, they show up in their sweatpants and plan to be comfortable, which I also support. But I generally recommend, I think, dressing up a little bit because I think it can give somebody in a way to talk to you and start a conversation, and that's always a good thing to do. There is something that comes from an old BDSM website that I like to remind people about when you are meeting new people and having a first conversation with somebody. It's called CIQ, which stands for compliment, introduction, and question. So that is a way of having sort of a default you can go to when you want to interact with somebody is you start off with a genuine compliment. Do not make up some shit that you don't really care about. Like if you actually notice that their hair looks really nice or their flogger looks cool or like their belt is like awesome. Like you start off with that, be like, wow, like your hair looks awesome. How did you style that today? So that's even like the compliment and the question embedded in it. But you would probably say something like, wow, your hair looks really awesome. Like, how did you style it today? Oh, by the way, my name's Evie and whatever you'd want to share, right? Like, you know, this is I've been here twice before. Or you could even start off by saying like, you know, a compliment and then, you know, hey, my name's Craig. I've been here a couple times before. Have we met before? And then you can lead into a conversation with that. There's another technique for meeting people that is good for when you're looking to facilitate building a friendship. And that would be, and I want to make sure I know I have it bookmarked in my computer somewhere. I've also printed it out before. But there is, let me Google this for a second. Yeah. I want to be able to recommend this, but now I can't. Now I can't find it. Oh, here we go. I think I found it. Okay, I did find it. Okay, so there is a technique that you can use that is called it's called Match Plus One, and I will link it in the chat if I can do that. Let's see, how do I get a link for this? Because it's, let's see, copy. Whatever, this is probably fine. So there's just this on a web page. This is really good for anyone. I've been referring to this a lot lately, and it's a really good technique for like when you are talking with somebody. Like intimacy is gained essentially by revealing different degrees of personal information. And if you want to make a connection with somebody, you basically match what they're offering you and then go one step further before they do with you, so they feel more comfortable going to that place with you. You don't force somebody to like reveal personal information. And if you get the sense that somebody's always trying to de-escalate and stay towards like the bottom of like a level 1 to 2 conversation and not like a level 7 or 8 conversation, that breeds familiarity and breeds people wanting to be close with us and disclose to us, which is how you generate friendship and vulnerability, which is so important for kink play and being connected in the kink community. So how you would do this is you start out by like greeting the person, and then you would begin your match plus one process by revealing to the other person something about your day, your week, or your life. For example, I went on a really nice bike ride today, but whew, what a workout. So like, typically, if you're like a bare minimum amount of interaction, you would just say like, it'd be like the weather, right? Like some weather we're having, right? But now you're revealing a little about you personally, not just the weather, but that it was nice enough for you to go on a bike ride. And like, it was a big workout, but you had a fun time when you did it. And then you listen to how that person responds and takes in that information. If you want to get to know that person better, you match his or her, I would just say there, the handout says his or her, level of disclosure and go one level higher. So this is where the match plus one comes in. So if they respond going like, oh yeah, I went to the grocery store today. They had my favorite cookies in stock or something. Like that's sort of a similar level to what you disclosed. And then you then convert that into revealing more personal details, your genuine opinions and emotions about yourself. And it says, keep it up. Don't stop providing details about your life just because the other person does not immediately respond similarly. Remember that getting to know someone else takes time, and the more you reveal, the more likely a person will reciprocate. Match plus one means revealing personal information about yourself, not asking personal questions about another person's life. So, and there's also like tools you can use for estimating like the level of intimacy you have with the person you're having a conversation with. That's a different thing. Honestly, if you're neurodivergent, please use this. Like, I think this would be really helpful for a lot of people. Neurotypical, not neurotypical. This would be helpful for a lot of folks. And if you're wondering like, oh God, why can't I just ask people how much they like me, want to be my friend? Why would they give me a straight answer? This is your solution. This is your system you can gamify into figuring out how to have conversations with neurotypical people that will not necessarily always understand why you want to ask super direct personal questions. This is your guidepost. This is what you can use to get to what you want using a system that works for the bizarre way that neurotypical people communicate. So just, I think it's helpful. And like it says at the very end there, like, I think people get confused. Like, if you're on a romantic date and your intention is to know, are we compatible or not, that asking personal questions about another person's life thing, that's not really what this is for. This is about, like, I've met a stranger and I think we want to be friends. Like, this is not like first date, are we compatible, like, type stuff. It's like, on a first date, it might be more appropriate to ask somebody, like, what do you do for work as the first question? But maybe not if it's the first question you're asking somebody at a kink party, right? So just be careful about asking questions. You can ask people how they feel about something, but details of life, I think I'd stay away from. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful for folks. And I think just having these skills in your back pocket of like, how do I have a conversation? How do I approach people is so helpful when you're going into scenarios where you know some people but not others. And yeah, if you're approachable, if you have conversations, it's going to be easier for other people to approach you. Now, I say this as somebody, I am happy to just like stick in the background, watch other people. Like, I'm not a super talky person at events most of the time. And so, like, if it was a private party where I knew some people, I might do that differently versus like maybe at a bar or something where I don't necessarily want to get stuck into a long conversation. But yeah, those are just some tools I thought maybe were worth sharing. My party's in San Jose. I mean, hey, I might be going there. Hey, you might want to check out Dark Odyssey Sorrento then, if you haven't been before. CIQ, I like that. Yeah, compliment, introduction, and question. This is essentially like an advanced version of, you can apply the CIQ technique to the match plus one technique. like as like a way to do that. But it's about you disclosing and following up and like you leading it, because typically what happens in conversations, if you have trouble connecting with somebody, is like they don't tell you enough about themselves for you to be able to respond to that. And so you have to be the one to have that vulnerability, because, and this is what it is at the end of the day, I think, is when you demonstrate your willingness to be vulnerable with somebody first, that makes them trust you more. Please do not misuse this information, but if you're willing to say how you feel about something first, like, I mean, what do you think about those appetizers? Like, I don't know exactly what you'd say, right? Like, you don't want to say something that would be like insulting to the host, I guess. Like, maybe don't do that. But like, you can talk about things that are personal to you, and then the person gets the signal of like, oh, like they're disclosing, they're open, I can trust them, I can talk to them more, and that gives them something as the conversation partner to steer the conversation around, right? But yeah, hopefully that helps. I really love this advice. Definitely very useful for neurodivergent people and for anyone who's shy and introverted. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, everyone could use it. Writes notes in autism. Well, I think I linked it. I linked it in the chat. I'll pin it, so that way you guys can get to that more easily if you want to check that out. Radically Open DBT is the source for that. If you want to look into that, I'm pro looking at therapy tools. Absolutely. You want to compliment something that they consciously have chosen to do as you're praising something they have agency over? Yes. Yes, exactly. That's why there's a difference between, like, wow, your red hair is so beautiful, and I love the way you styled your hair. That's why I said, like, I love the way you styled your hair today, and not like your red hair is so beautiful. Because, like, your red hair is so beautiful can come across as fetishistic. It can come across as like, well, I get complimented about that all the time. I didn't do anything to have red hair. Like, like you're not complimenting something about like an effort they put out. It's just like, oh, literally, I was born with this. You know, I mean, maybe like, I don't know. You can't even make an assumption with like dyed hair. If somebody's got like rainbow hair, like, you know, that might be something that you can compliment more, because that's like you had to consciously choose to do that. They may have done it themselves, but like I would compliment other things first before that. Like it could be the outfit they put together, it could be a toy that they have, it could, again, something like I think what Erica was saying is really good. Like you want to compliment something they've consciously chosen to do, right? It could be jewelry, it could be stickers on their water bottle, you know, whatever. That comes across, I think, a lot better than like a vapid personal appearance based comment, you know? This verges on pretty basic advice, but compliment people on stuff they've put together themselves. Nice makeup, cool hair up, not beautiful lips. But yes, exactly. I mean, it's like, it's basic advice, but it's always worth repeating, because you can never guarantee that anyone's ever actually been told to not do that before. Love little neuro hacks like that. I mean, gotta always have more tools to be able to operate in the strange world we live in. Compliment is compliment because it's legit. Flattery is just some exaggeration of some sort. Yeah, exactly. Flattery is like, wow, you're the most beautiful woman at this party. Whereas a compliment is like, you know, wow, I love the way that your lipstick matches your shoes or something, you know? It's hard to come up with an example on the fly in my head about a person that doesn't really exist. I'm neurospicy and I'm finding this very helpful indeed. Well, I am very glad. I am super happy that people are getting some new skills. Because I need them too. Like I am not always great at like cluing in. But I was good at cluing into what other people are thinking about me, and like it's the asexuality. Like I have trouble navigating like people that want me sexually and people that want to be my friends, and this is very helpful for being able to figure that out much sooner in a conversation. People mistake me being a wallflower with me being antisocial, but I'm just quiet and pensive. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I'm very, like, quiet, pensive. I like watching other people. I think I've been around enough to where I don't feel the need to rush into doing scenes right away. And so what that ends up meaning is like I don't like typically play unless it's at a big event where it's a one-time only thing. Like the first couple times I go to an event space, I'm probably not going to play. Like I'm going to watch people. I'm going to see what other people are up to. Like I am going to like be there and absorb the atmosphere, but I'm not necessarily going to like play and get out there. Because I want to make sure the vibe of the place is right before I leap into like doing big socialization-y thingies. And also like oftentimes on the days when there are really big kink events and like it's a really popular party, like the music and the play and the voices might all also be pretty loud, and it can be difficult to actually have an ongoing conversation. So I also gotta keep that in mind too. But thank you so much for the question, Craig. Hopefully we answered what you were looking for or helped in some way. Totally normal to be nervous. I think if you got those skills in your back pocket, you're going to be in a good place. And then just I think go probably like I don't imagine if people already know you in this space, it's not really going to be weird that you're like, oh, like a top going solo. That's like dangerous and scary. Like people aren't generally going to think that. But it's good to go with the intention of making friends and meeting people, not with trying to, I don't know, get something from other people, if that makes sense. Besides just like, I want to meet people and watch people do things and have a fun time. I never know how to take compliments or how to respond. I just say thank you and then wonder why I got complimented. I mean, learning how to take a compliment is definitely a process. And I think I probably have something for you here. It's going to blow your mind. Because if you are denying somebody a compliment, you are like, if somebody says like, oh, you look great today, and you go, no, actually I have all this stuff wrong with me, no, like you're shutting down a bid for intimacy. Essentially you're saying, I don't believe what you're telling me, I don't want to have this conversation, and then like walls up, right? Like it might feel uncomfortable for you to genuinely accept that compliment, but this goes back to that establishing the vulnerability and having that trust in somebody. In the same way that you would compliment somebody in a genuine capacity, you also have to consider that other people are complimenting you in a genuine capacity that is something they really care about or thought about or looked at in some way that you were doing. I'm going to see here. I think there might be a tool for like, I don't know if there's like an exact skill I can like recommend to you, but like I know that like radically open DBT in general is like more helpful for people that are more inhibited, more aloof, more rigid, and like mask too much and inhibit their emotions too much, and as a result tend to be very risk adverse and adverse to like compliments and tend to be very guarded personally, and they don't accept things like compliments very easily. So I'm not seeing any like exact like quick thing I can refer to you here as a tool you can use. But I totally understand why it would be difficult to take a compliment. I'm very much the same way, especially when it feels like this is what I have difficulty with myself, is like I will have somebody that will give me a compliment, and to me it doesn't feel genuine. It feels like they're saying it to try and get something out of me. And so you have to be cautious. Oh no, I lost the thing I was just looking at. Shoot. Okay, I gotta try to find that again. If it doesn't feel genuine, like I'm not gonna be receptive to that. So yeah, this is just general DBT stuff, which is also fine. I think that's all I got for right now. Ember says, as an emotional masochist and as a submissive, I have trouble balancing the need for punishment with the need to be good. How can I satisfy one need without sacrificing the other? Ooh, Ember, great question, classic dilemma. Absolutely happy to answer that for you. So, first of all, as always, I like to check in with the audience here. If anyone is a submissive and a masochist that is having experience with this, I would love to know what you did and how you worked through that, or what you had to troubleshoot with that, because I think this is like submission and masochism do not always go together, but they go together very often. And so a lot of people will run into this barrier of like, okay, like I like the boundaries of the relationship. I don't want to get rid of the boundaries of the relationship. I want there to be the rules and the structure, but I also really like being punished. And so I don't like want to feel bad or that I'm not being good. I think that there's a way to separate the role play of punishment, if that's what you're into, and following the rules of a relationship. What I've seen a lot of people do over the course of a longer term power exchange relationship is a lot of people like the idea of, and this was echoed once again, Kink Fest weekend, by multiple presenters. And I every single time I go somewhere with people that have been in the scene for 10, 20, 30 years, I hear the same thing over and over again, is when you are in a long-term power exchange relationship, there are people who sort of fantasize about the idea of punishment who don't actually like the execution of it, and it leaves them feeling drained. It leaves them feeling bad, resentful, guilty, afraid of the relationship. Like they don't want to disclose things to their partner. Like it inhibits the honesty and the vulnerability in the relationship because you become afraid of the punishment because you don't really like being punished, and it doesn't actually really correct your behavior so much as it does make you afraid of the punishment. Like there are some people who are like properly motivated by punishment, and by properly I mean they get punished, the behavior changes, the behavior does not continue. What tends to happen more often is, in BDSM at least, punishment happens, person likes the punishment, they do the thing they got punished for more, and that erodes the relationship because then the rules aren't being respected because they're being used as a tool for play, which is not what they're supposed to be. And then you have people where they do something wrong, they get punished, and then it spirals into shame, guilt, fear, resentment, and bad feelings of the whole relationship. And then they do something bad again by mistake, they get punished again, and then it just keeps spiraling downward. And it can sometimes help the person do the behavior less, but it's much more likely to cause somebody to hide the behavior rather than change the behavior. We have other tools for behavior modification that work consistently better than punishment does. So I think a lot of people that are maybe more in your position are on the like, I have the rules, I don't follow the rules, I get punished, but I like the punishment, but I don't want to like the punishment because then I'll break the rules, which I don't want to do, but also I want to like the punishment because I'm a masochist, but then like the masochism and the submission are at odds with each other. And so I think you can separate out like my joy of following rules from my joy of being punished. And what a lot of people end up doing is they have a set of rules that are like the real relationship rules that are like the submissive will always protect the submissive even from the dominant. The submissive will monitor their behavior using this particular tracking app that will look like registering how many glasses of water you have to drink, how many meals you eat every day, blah, blah, blah. Like going down the list of that, right? That kind of thing. And then you'll have like either a set of play rules that you can use instead where it's like, oh, these are meant to be tripwires. These are things that we've agreed are rules that are meant to be broken. They are just there to tempt you like a sparkly diamond tempts a thief at a jewelry store. Like they are meant to entice you to want to break them, right? And they're meant to maybe even be impossible such that eventually you will inevitably break them. But it's understood from the beginning they are play rules, not like real relationship structure rules, because ideally your partner should also like punishing you. And this is where we get into the linguistic difference between punishment and punishment, right? Punishment, when I say punishment, I mean a punishment is basically something that happens when you break a rule and then a bad thing happens that is intended to discourage you from continuing the behavior. The role of the punishment is not for fun. It's not to have a scene. It's about reinforcing the relationship dynamic by doing something that you don't enjoy. That's it. Whereas with a punishment, the idea is not behavior modification, adherence to relationship structure. It is about having fun playing at being punished for either straight up fake rule violations or play rule violations where like they are technically real rules. It's not just made up for role play land, but they were meant to be broken to start with. So you might benefit from separating out like punishment that you don't like doing for the relationship, like for maintaining the structure, and then punishments, which are play things that you're doing because either you're breaking like the play rules or you are coming up with some kind of narrative before the scene where you are role playing the act of being punished, even though you never really broke any rules. It's just the role play flavor. It's the flavor text. It's just there to enhance the headspace of the scene, give a reason for that scene to happen, but it's not actually touching your rules at all. So you can still get all the fun of like pretending to be naughty and having to repent and mercy and all of that stuff that you maybe enjoy. And I think that's a lot easier to navigate. So that's one way to sort of enjoy the punishment and enjoy, in the punishment sense. And also thank you for the follow over on Twitch. And also be able to maintain that structure of the relationship itself. And you just got to make sure it's a balancing act, right? Between like time that you're spending getting your masochist side fed and then getting your submissive side fed. That could be 50-50, could be 20-80. Different people, just depending on what they personally like, will want to weight the relationship one way more than the other in terms of what they focus on. Little's punishment could be like a playpen confinement. Yeah, it could be corner time. It could be no stuffies, no movies, no phone time. Tons of options for punishing Littles, actually. Yeah, the fear of punishment is something we struggle with a lot. We only really do punishment as a role play these days. We've been together long enough that punishment doesn't have as much luster to us. And also not masochist, really. Yeah, that can also very much be a factor. Could you ask your dom to be more nitpicky, punish you for things that are pretty minor? Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Being pedantic, a lot of doms really love that, right? Where it's like, I told you to get my coffee, and I see that you only stirred the sugar into the coffee 5 times counterclockwise instead of 10 times clockwise. Like, you can be, there is always a level deeper that you could be looking at a person's actions under a microscope. So yes, there's lots of ways to be more nitpicky if the person wants to do that. Absolutely. It's like the inverse of the don't take, only throw meme. Yeah, same energy for sure. Okay, I hope that helped answer your question, Ember. I'm just scanning to see if we've gotten any other thoughts from the audience. I like to frame punishment as making up for a mistake or a misbehavior. Punishment means a failure as a sub. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a mistake, misbehavior, it's a failure. Whereas a punishment is like, again, it's that play, it's that role play. I've learned that masochism leads to a need to self-harm via my dom, which is good for no one. Yeah, like you got to be very careful when you're doing stuff. Absolutely. Got to be aware of the mental state in that. I've always viewed punishment not as punishment, but as a reward based upon my actions. Yeah, because then it's like punishment, right? Like if you're being punished, it's because, you know, if it's a punishment, it's like something you both want to be there and you both want to have happen. And like you both should also want a proper punishment to happen, but like it's not really supposed to make anyone feel good about it at the end. Like you shouldn't be like, it's the end of the punishment. Boy, howdy, do I want that to happen again in 20 minutes? Like if that's your attitude, you probably didn't really do that much of a punishment, did you? I know, no stuffies is too mean. I know, I went too far. Hard limit. Okay, people are telling me it's a hard limit. Okay, sorry for the hard limit. No consent violations here. Okay, noted. Stuffy, listen, I don't even want you guys. You gotta be careful because like I've seen. I don't want to freak anybody out, but I've heard, possibly that sometimes people will even, and they're very mean. They will do things to the stuffies. Sometimes you don't get punished. Sometimes your stuffy gets punished for you. And I mean, that's not fair, is it? It's your stuffy. They didn't do anything wrong. Now they're paying for your sins. You don't want your stuffy to pay for your sins, do you? The sins of the owner and the sins of the stuffy. Oh my god. It's too much. I know. It's too far. Shouldn't have gone there. Hard limit. I mean, for us, I like to make it up to him if I make a mistake. Like, I like to correct my actions with apologies and positive change. But he doesn't need to spank me for me to want to do that. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's lots of other ways. Like, if you want to separate, like, punishment that feels fun and you want to do for the role play aspect from, like, correcting behavior in your relationship, you can write apology notes. You can come up with an action plan for changing your behavior. You can write a research report on what you find out about the thing that you're supposed to fix. Like you can do actions that take time that will cause you to reflect on what you did wrong and also help you find a solution at the same time. All right, I'm gonna note that if any dom hurts a stuffy to my audience, they are being uber canceled. You'd be the most canceled. I'm only a sub because if I topped, I would destroy the person. I mean, the reviews are in. I gotta the reviews are in. You really have a sadist vein sometimes. You can make a living by giving people ideas. I mean, don't I make a living giving people ideas? Is that not what my channel is? Is that I certainly, my idea videos certainly are fairly popular. But I definitely, like, I'm like 80% submissive, 20% sadist. Like, it's the submission and the sadism are both always there, but it's, it's more weighted one direction or the other. Doggo so sleepy. So sleepy girl. Sleepy girl. She's the full-on conked out today. Bottoms do need to unionize. It's true, it's a fact. All right, let's get back into some more questions. This has been awesome, guys. Love it. Or I shouldn't say guys. Y'all. Folks. I just say guys automatically, and I know I need to stop that. She did a little floppa. You did a little stretchy stretch. Okay, answer the question about how body positive the spaces are. I found my community to be pretty body positive. I also have dermatillomania and SH scars. Oh, good question. How do you handle drop after cons and events? So such a good question. So I part of it begins even before going to the event, right? Which means not over planning, not over budgeting your time, building in time to rest during the event itself. Like, have an afternoon where you go back to your room, go back to your house, take a nap, have lunch at home. Well, we just tossed that pen right into all of my equipment. Good job, me. So, like, have a day for rest already built in. I would say for me, what really helped me prevent drop, and what this is, I kept my eye on the prize. Like, all day Sunday, I was like, this is what I'm going to do when I get a day to myself for being able to decompress. I am going to have a whole day. I went to the store on my way home from the event, and I got some of my favorite comfort foods and some health foods. I got a mix of stuff, right? I got like healthy protein snacks, and I got some of my favorite treats. I got unfrosted strawberry Pop-Tarts because the unfrosted ones are vegan. Fun fact. I got some unfrosted strawberry Pop-Tarts. I got some chocolate. Made sure to have that in stock, absolutely. And then I had some good protein stuff and some stuff to help me rehydrate. I plan to just have a low-key day. If you can, I know especially if you work full-time and like a regular 9 to 5, it is hard to be able to go to a full like long weekend event and then go back to the office the next day. So I know you're not always going to have time to be able to do everything you want. I have a full like float day, at least for Kink Fest. I don't know if other events are this way. Kink Fest, the last day is more like a half day. Like instead of going from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m., it's more like 10 a.m. to 4 or something. So you do have time like the evening of the day you get back or the day the event ends typically for some kind of decompression. So I usually focus on rest, sleep for as long as you need to, listen to your body on that one. Really make sure to hydrate. If you've been playing really hard, if you've been doing a lot of scenes all weekend, I really recommend electrolytes. Actually, I have a video that I'm working on right now. I am working on an ultimate guide to aftercare because I, for some fucking reason, have not made a video about aftercare in like 5 years. I have one really old one. This one's kind of a 2-part video. Part that's coming out, well, maybe like 3 weeks from now. It's going to be a little while. I have to wait for a minute. But the video that I'm working on now presently, that's like the guide to aftercare, I'm going to talk about a lot of this stuff in detail. I'm going to do a part 2 where I talk about like my personal aftercare kit and what's in it and why I have it in there, why I picked it. But that's probably going to be like a 35-minute video just about aftercare, which is both scenes and also obviously from conventions, events as well, because they're all kind of packaged together. But having time for rest, having time for a nap, listening to your body, making sure to stay hydrated, having good whole foods is also really good. If you're like, don't obligate yourself to like cooking a bunch of vegetables or something. You can meal prep beforehand if you want. I'm totally fine with the cheaty stuff, right? Have a protein bar, have a protein shake, an apple. Banana's a really good choice. A lot of people, they love bananas. That's a really good one. Electrolytes for your water, again, like I was saying earlier, if you've been playing really hard doing long scenes. I like the Ultima, I don't know how they pronounce it. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them from Whole Foods and other like natural grocery stores as well. And I really like that electrolyte brand because it's not just straight up sodium. That's a really good mix. There's potassium in there, calcium, magnesium. That's a good mix. Especially at night, I would recommend a magnesium supplement in your water because a lot of people in general have magnesium deficiency, and it is proven in like kinesthesiology studies to help with muscle recovery, muscle relaxation, and that can be really good again if you have sore muscles and bruises. Oh, you guys want to see my bruises? Oh, I haven't ever shown them on camera before, but I still have them, and I'm wearing shorts today, which is like a never before seen combination. How do I put this on camera? All right, we're gonna give me a second here. We're gonna adjust some stuff. This is gonna be a weird angle. Nope, can't do it. That's not. Oh, I can do it. You guys can kind of see it on my thigh here. Here you go. You guys can see that, right? There you go. There you go. You guys get to see it on camera for 2 seconds. I don't know. I don't know if anyone can see that, but whatever. I'll try. So that's like a week of healing, probably. I don't know how long it's been. What really helps me is I don't have it. I thought I had it on my desk. I think I put it in my bathroom. Definitely, again, lotion, hydration, time for rest. Doing something that's like really low key. That's not like sensorily overwhelming. Like listening to calming lo-fi music, listening to an animated movie. The bruises I'm addressing because I think, developed a pretty good regimen for taking care of them, which is magnesium and MSM lotion. So that's like basically like bioavailable magnesium and sulfur lotion. Um, it's those have been really helpful for like it was like I was very sore after I got these because these are like deep welty bruises from like Thuddy Impact Play, so like they were very much like in the muscle, and having like a good quality magnesium lotion can be really good for relaxing the muscles in my opinion. If you don't have magnesium deficiency or like you know you got to be careful like the way that it works like on a biological level if I'm remembering it correctly is like it essentially blocks calcium. So you don't get the effect of you don't get like the like it's like something about like the lactic acid effect. I don't remember exactly how it works, but it blocks calcium, and so magnesium helps with muscle relaxation and also with like bruises and stuff like that. Like these I've been keeping up with the lotion on these and with taking hot baths. Also great option, hot bath, hot shower. Not too hot, especially if you're putting Epsom salts in your bath water if you like that. Bath water that is too hot will actually make it not work as well. Like a lukewarm bath is better than a hot bath. But because I've been keeping up with the lotion, even though they're in like the yellow healing stage currently, they're not itchy at all. They have not been itchy the entire time. It's been awesome. It's been very easy to take care of these. So yeah. Uh, and then arnica is also good. You do have to be careful if you're in America with arnica, and I talk about this in the aftercare video. Arnica can be very good because it is a natural product. Like when I was looking into making like homemade salves and tinctures and stuff, which I am still planning on doing at some point. I just need to go through all of my craft stuff and simplify things. I just need to simplify my craft stuff. So the only stuff that I'm making is like bath salts and like anhydrous tinctures and not all of the other stuff that I've been working on. I need to simplify. But arnica, because it's a natural product, it can vary a lot in terms of strength depending on how and where it's grown. And a lot of the preparations in America are homeopathic, which means they're very, 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 very diluted, which means they have very, 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 very little of the active ingredient that actually helps with making it good. Things like, oh, I don't know how to pronounce this word. There's a couple of like, whoa, what? Okay, Reddit's playing a song. Okay. There's a couple of ingredients you can look for as well in products that can be good for redness and things like that. I don't know. Can Google tell me how to pronounce this so I don't sound like a silly person? I think it's Allantoin. It's ALL. Here, I'll just type in a chat. Allantoin, I guess, is one, which I've been saying to myself in my head is allantonin. It's not what it is. Allantonin. Okay. And then there's actually something that comes from chamomile. Which has an even funkier name, which is it's the chemical constituent that's in chamomile. It's I genuinely do not know how to. I don't even know if I could Google how to say that. No, not products. Pronunciation. Wikipedia does not have help for me to be able to pronounce this. I cannot find a pronunciation guide that's it's all audio. But it's like bisabolol or something. Anyways, you guys can look for these 2 ingredients. And those are also like good additives for like skin calming and helping out. But like arnica, chamomile, those can be helpful, but they are natural products, and so they're not as really good. And it's just hard to find concrete good stuff for them. But a lot of people do very much enjoy arnica, and it helps a lot. You just have to be careful about what you're buying it from. European brands tend to be a lot better than American brands, but what else is new? Another decompression recovery suggestion, if you can schedule one, is a massage. Yes, and oftentimes at events, there will be people providing massages. Like at Kink Fest, there were 2 people, I think they were both in the vendors area, that were offering massages. So, bees bowl lol, Misa bolol. It sounds like a Lord of the Rings demon. Like it doesn't sound like, it's like, oh, the nice thing for chamomile. Like it sounds like a demon. Yeah. But those are good options too. And then pure aloe vera gel can also be good. But by pure aloe vera, I mean something that doesn't have a bunch of fragrance and colorant and other shit added to it. Like aloe by itself is also pretty much mostly water, but a lot of companies will add a bunch of extra unnecessary silly things to their after sun, especially preparations that to make it tingly and shit, which you don't need it to. Being tingly doesn't mean it's working. It just means that it's tingly. It just means they added menthol to it. You don't really need menthol on open skin wounds, you know? Like, you don't need to put peppermint oil into your fucking open wounds on your thigh, you know? Oh, yeah, it sounds like Beelzebub. Exactly. It's like, who knew? You see that little move? What was that little move? You are awake, tiny girl. Oh my goodness, look at that big yawn. Hi. Oh, foot free. Oh, I gave you guys free foot for a second there. Free toes for all the shrimpers. All right. Hi, sweetie girl. Oh, we're coming over. Hi. Look at it, just a baby. Oh, goodness. Oh, no. Are you going to come over here so I can pick you up? Are you going to flop over? Oh, no, we did a little flop. Hi. Hi, you sweet girl. This is every day of my life. Hi. Girl. Hi. Oh, so good. Hi, you are still wagging your tail. Do you want to come up? I can't pick you up like that. I can pick you up like this. There you go. Now I can pick you up. There we go. She did the cat pose. She's learning from the cat. I mean, I don't know. She's always had a little bit more of a cat-like tendency. Oh, thank you, Boopernova. Bandita, you got a super chat. You got a super chat because you're such a good girl. The immediate tail wag when you spoke to her. Well, she does associate my voice with good things happening, so I would hope that her tail would wag. Because she can sense it is almost time for the stream to be over because we only have 15 minutes left, people. We only have 15 minutes. Yeah, the camera went rogue for a little bit, but we're working on it. She has such a good life for such a little pupper. So good. All right. I'm going to make a good science teacher. Well, I have to learn how to pronounce things first in order to do that, but I appreciate it. I mad respect to teachers, especially like in proper schools. I couldn't do it. Could not be me. I was wondering what you were growing in your garden. I'm growing corn because I live in the Midwest. I love that, the sheepish. Yes, I live in the Midwest. Great question. So I have a couple of different things. I am doing garlic. I'm doing carrots. I haven't started the carrots yet. I'm gonna, because the weather this spring has been really wet and gross, and I've honestly just been having to kill all the moss in the yard first, like weed and moss killing before like my beds are ready. But the garlic's already in because I planted that in the fall. So I'm growing garlic, carrots. I'm gonna start tomatoes this year because we have some really good full sun spots for tomatoes, which was highly requested by the roommates. Gotta get some tomatoes in there, which I also agree, love tomatoes. We have raspberries. We have so many blueberries. And then I planted something called haskip, which has a couple of different names, or haskap, which is also called, it's like a honeyberry. It has a couple of other names depending on where it's from. And it's actually native to, it's a honeyberry is the other word for it. And it's popular, and it's got started actually in the Midwest, like, was this the Midwest? Like the Great Lakes region, that's maybe more accurate to say, because it originally grew in like Russia and northern Japan, and now there's some cultivars that they've been making that are good for growing in like southern Canada and in the northern United States, and they bloom and fruit earlier than basically anything else does. And so they're really good, like, early things. So I'm trying, I don't think I'm gonna get a lot of them this year, because the plants are still pretty small, but growing some honeyberries, which should be interesting, because I love making jam. I know I am really, all these alpha males are like, would you ever consider going to a HypnoCon? Yes. I know there are some. I never see them advertised, though. I think they're mostly on the East Coast. Peas are easy. I do have a spot where I could maybe do peas. I don't know. I do have a spot where I could put a trellis for pea vines. Yes, Russian native crops are 50-50. Yeah, the mostly the ones that people grow here, I think more the Japanese variety, or like cultivars that are more based on Japanese varieties as opposed to the Russian ones. I think the Russian ones tend to be more sour and firm, whereas the Japanese ones I think are more sweet and bloom a little bit earlier. I don't know what the difference is exactly, but I looked this all up a year ago when I planted that wasn't a year ago, it was in the fall when I planted the honeyberries originally. So we've got that. I do have a cherry tree and a plum tree, but because of the weather we're having this year, I don't know if we're going to get fruit from either one of them. We're going to see. The big thing is I got some mason bees, which I have to find a spot to put their house, but I got some mason bees to put in my yard, and I think they're really going to help out. Very friendly. If you like growing stuff, you should look up mason bees. They're very helpful little pollinators. They don't sting anything. They literally don't even have stingers. They're just little solitary. They basically live in a little hostel that you build for them, and then they go out, they fly around, they get some nectar going, and then they're just really efficient at fertilization. Super good at it. Yeah, the tomatoes I'm doing in planters.
Creative Authority donated.
Oh, me too. I do miss Thunder in the Mountains.
In the mountains, Tilda. This was my local convention for many years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my local members' play space closed as well.
Oh.
Also, I love the way you styled Bandit's hair, smiley face.
Oh, thank you. She does go to a very nice groomer. She does. She has a very nice groomer who loves her and gives her very cute little hair pretties to wear. I always wanted to go to Thunder in the Mountains, but yeah, I remember I followed the whole adventure of how that went down. Oh, and also last thing, I'm not really growing this, but it is in my yard. We have honeysuckles, and I will harvest the honeysuckles and turn those into jam also, because the honeysuckle flowers can be turned into a very light, very sort of good with a light black tea jam, very good on toasted biscuits and such things. Where are you going now, little girl? We're almost at the end of the stream. What are you doing? You're all the way over there. Right. Get to sleep. Her sleepy face. Oh, we're going a little crazy. Funny girl. So Yeah, Thunder Mountains I always heard really good things about. There is Colorado Leatherfest, which is coming up very soon. If you haven't been to that before, that I know it's not really the same, but it might be a good alternative. And then yeah, Play Space is closed. It just sucks. I feel like it's interesting because Seattle was in that same boat for a long time, where like Kink Fest in Portland was kind of like the local big convention, and then the CSPC was around, but then it didn't have a space for like a couple years, and then there was a space that was south of Seattle that's still around, but was much smaller, and it's hard when a community is between venues. Even Portland really doesn't have like a main kink space in the sense of a dungeon that's a dungeon. It's not a bar with a dungeon. It's not a swingers venue with a dungeon or a dungeon room. You're doing a little raccoon cleaning. My dog. I'm just thinking about my dog. We technically have one play space that is a dedicated dungeon, but it doesn't necessarily have the greatest reputation, and it's also very small. So yeah, I'm right there with you. But I mean, honestly, really, I think with all the event closures that have been happening and play spaces being closed and the constant fear of people coming in and ruining things. Like there was a really big convention called Sin in the City that happened in Las Vegas for years, for a long time. And then because of a combination of COVID and the intervention of the local law enforcement and the Nevada state government, I don't know if there's any news stories about this. I could probably look it up and tell you guys. But that event is no longer around either. So like, I really genuinely think, especially with recent events, like if there's a convention, if you can make time for it, please go, because they're not going to be around forever. They're not going to be in the places and the spaces that we know and love. Like, make those memories. I am elated. I have so many good memories from Kink Fest every year that I go. It's a community building experience. It's a play experience. Like everything about it is so worth it. It is my Christmas. It is like Kink Fest is my Christmas. I love it every year. I'm so glad that I get to go again now and go to those conventions, make those memories. Absolutely. I mean, there used to be a website that was called Kink B&B. I don't think that's around anymore. But I know that there are people who will find like adults. I don't even know how that works on regular Airbnb. But I do know that there are like some Airbnbs that are more like adult oriented for like sexy fun times. But also Airbnbs are a complete ripoff now, and they're super fucking expensive. And I mean, I do kind of want to look for an Airbnb for Dark Odyssey Surrender just to see what's in the area. But also it's really hard to beat a convention and a hotel 5 minutes away from the airport. Like, I'm not going to find anything more convenient than that. Plant marigolds to prevent it says AIDS. I'm assuming ants, wasps, pests. Yeah, I'm definitely like for my tomato planters. I'm gonna be doing marigolds. Marigolds. I'm gonna do marigolds and a combination of marigolds and basil and probably another herb as well, just to kind of cover all my bases. Yeah, and then I'm gonna be doing I think it's alyssum. There's a plant that like attracts the thing that predates on the bugs that eat tomato plants that I'm going to be putting in a planter near where the tomatoes are. I grow all kinds of things, mostly herbs, strawberries, cucumbers, and mini pie pumpkins. Oh, that's so cute. Mini pie pumpkins, that's great. Our summers tend to be very dry here. So like I already have to water a lot with all of the plants here, but cucumbers sound fun. Strawberries I think I will do at some point, but the problem with strawberries is like they don't last very long. The actual strawberry plants, and like I get so many berries already. I don't really need just like strawberries, so they are very tasty. We'd love for you to go to FroliCon next year. I mean, I don't know, like for you, like if you are an organizer at FroliCon, like send me an email. Like if you are an event organizer and you want me to go to your convention, I will more than happily go. How are events for couples new into BDSM? There are many of them, and most events will work for new people. There you have so many options. What is the best way to discover local BDSM cons and parties? FetLife. I have a whole video I did a couple months ago on how to use FetLife. It's very detailed and very accurate. It really is honestly just better to go to a hotel after all the Airbnbs were taken by people trying to make $20K a month in passive income. I know Airbnbs got ruined. Like, so many fees. You got to clean everything, take out the fucking garbage. You have somebody who's probably hiding cameras in your room, monitoring where you go. They're going to tattle on you about like quiet hours. Like, it's just, it's not worth it. It almost always ends up being more expensive, you know? The main issue we have here is sugar ants, or maybe not sugar ants. There's some kind of ants that are here. They're like small ants. They look like sugar ants, but I don't think they actually are ants. Everyone here are awesome at gardening. I forgot to water plants and they die on me. Oh yeah. No, I kind of just leaped into it because this place has a lot of stuff in it. Rhubarb is nice to have in any little garden. Not sure it's safe with critters around. It's good for pets and stuff. Or pies, yeah. Oh, I should see what kind of soil rhubarb grows in. I might have a spot for it. I don't know. I might also just put another planter with tomatoes there, or just wildflowers and coneflowers for the bees. I don't know. Yep, or the Airbnb is just a basement and then you hear their children and their family upstairs just like running around the whole time. Like, I like the idea of an Airbnb, but it's almost never executed the way that I hope it would be. That's why Airbnb should come with service subs. I'd agree to that. If they came with built-in service subs, I'd be fine with it. I would really like to have lavender. That's what I'd want to have because I want to be able to make lavender jelly. I just like making jelly out of things. I just go, can I turn this? My thought process is, can I turn this into jelly? that's or jam, actually, more accurately. Oh, thank you. Hey, Evie, I'm a fan from Italy. Thanks to your videos, I've been learning so much about BDSM, and I'm starting an amazing journey. Well, that is so awesome. Thank you, and glad you could be here. I feel that I can approach it more safely and pleasantly because of your videos. Always interested in what you talk about and how you address it. So smart and sensitive. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's so sweet. And thank you for being here. So yeah, if anyone's running a convention, I'm just going to pop my email in case anyone's like, oh, I want to contact you about going to my convention. I will go to your convention. I really do need to start figuring out how to transition because I don't want to jinx it. Okay, because this is what it was supposed to happen. Is before COVID, 3 years ago, I was starting to, oh, my dog moved as well. I was starting to make the transition into teaching in real life. I was starting to put together classes with the intention of teaching them in person at events. And then COVID hit and I had to cancel everything that I was planning to go to. And I've done some online events. And I want to do more online events, but I really think I could start teaching at conferences. I feel like I'm enough through my imposter syndrome, and I could offer enough unique stuff to where, like, if I want to go to more conventions, I might as well offer to do it. You know? Like, why not? Why not put it together? Why not see what can happen? Because there's a lot of presenters, and I literally run a YouTube channel, and maybe it would be good advertisement, and maybe it would just be good for community outreach, and why not? And my dog is freaking out. You are having a little freak out, ma'am. Why are we freaking out? Look at you and your cuteness. Uh-oh, we're shaking it off. Oh, we're coming over here. Oh, no, we're laying. Okay, you are. Oh, look at your beautiful face. Look at your beautiful face. What are you doing? So sweet. Such a sweet little doggo. I've actually been invited to FroliCon before, but I haven't been because it typically overlaps with Kink Fest. Or it's very close to Kink Fest. Who would have thought that Airbnb would revive the hotel industry? It almost makes me wonder if it's a ploy by the hotel industry to be like, all right, we're going to make an alternative, but we're going to make it suck so bad and cost so much money that we're going to look good. And I don't know. I feel the same way about movie theaters. Because like, oh, well, you can pay to stream a movie in your shitty home apartment theater room, right? Like, or in your, you know, on your speakers on your laptop for $15, or you can pay $13 and go to a movie theater and have a deluxe surround sound experience. Which sounds better? And a lot of people, if the Mario movie is anything to go by, they're picking they're picking theaters again. The Bandit camera stuff quality content. I'm glad you like it. It's very sweet. Okay. Well, on that note, it is 8 o'clock, so I gotta get going too, cause I'm making dinner tonight. I'm making tacos. Having a good. I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I have been feeling great all day. I've been going back to the gym, y'all. I'm loving it. I go to the gym and afterwards I'm like, yeah, I went to the gym. I somehow have more energy after I'm done with the gym, and I feel like that's. I say I'm not a masochist, but really, if you have more energy when you're done with the gym, that's probably a sign. So I am going to go make tacos. I'm going to the gym, going to conventions, going to events, having a great time. I hope you all are having a great time. Oh, lilac also makes a lovely syrup jelly. I have been wanting to plant a lilac and or butterfly bush in one particular spot in my garden because I love the smell of lilac, but it's currently occupied by different plants that I need to tear out or have someone come in and tear out. So that's probably going to be a project for this summer. But I do love lilac. I have to remember that. Baby pine cone jelly. All right, y'all giving me too many ideas. Gotta stop before I just take over all of the pantry space with my jellies. All right, so good night to the bandita. So beautiful, so wonderful. Good night to all of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you answered your questions. If I didn't answer your questions, please come back next Friday at 6 o'clock. We stream every Friday. Please subscribe and follow for more streaming and video goodness. I have tons of fun videos coming out soon. I have a video coming out that I'm working on currently. That is the ultimate guide to aftercare. I have a get ready with me video for a dungeon look. I have a video about the one thing you need to learn as a new person in kink. I have all kinds of videos coming out soon, so please check them out. And yes, until next week to the Lupineers, thank you again for being here. Thank you all. Yeah, Lupineers out. All right, have a good night, guys. Drink some water, get some rest, and I will see you all again soon. Bye. Oh, and there we go. She's activated because I said goodbye. Oh, where'd you go? Where are you going? She's going by the door because she knows I opened the door when the stream's done. All right, bye, guys.